Welcome back to the Land Journals. This episode was inspired by a hike I took in early March on a 5-mile stretch of the C&O Canal Towpath along the Potomac River. The Potomac serves as the boundary between Maryland and Virginia, and the National Park Service manages the old canal, its structures, and the path from Washington D.C. to Cumberland, Maryland. In early spring, before the forest canopy begins to shade the path, only a few wildflowers dare to emerge while winter is still hanging on with cold and snow. This is the best time to see through the naked forest, the woods as bare as they will be for the whole year, and they can't hide the great cliffs and bluffs draped in moss and fern. The geology here is complex, but it's mostly limestone, cut through with caves and passageways formed by water flowing along tilted strata. As the water flows, it dissolves the calcium-rich stone into narrow passageways. People over hundreds, if not thousands of years, have enlarged these spaces, and it's known that freedom seekers escaping the slave state of Virginia used the ferries or rafted across the Potomac to rest here within the bluffs as they planned the next phase of their journey north. We know, too, that some residents of Sharpsburg, Maryland, used these caves to hide livestock, valuables, or their entire families as they sought refuge from the violence of the battle at Antietam in September 1862. I composed a few rough sketches on site and took many pictures of well over a dozen bluffs where these dissolution process caves are formed. They reminded me so much of the hand-carved monasteries carved from the rock, many of which I encountered on my 2016 Camino across Spain. As I developed the sketch for my journal, I kept those sacred places in mind as I wanted to portray a sanctuary-like formation of this karst landscape. In the book Home Ground, edited by one of my favorite authors, Barry Lopez, poet Linda Hogan writes, "A cave mouth is a doorway to mystery and beauty, the entryway to a mineral world of water and moving air that over time has become a sacred place, a womb of earth. Many cave walls were once painted with animals and the history of different people. In far deeper caves, earth has painted its own history. Some caves developed during the life-nourishing eruptions of the planet, lava tubes where magma runs underground and leaves empty tunnels behind. Some are tectonic, created by quaking movements of the planet, and they're the long-lived caves of ice. The caves most widely known in the United States, however, are those created by dissolution and erosion in karst landscapes. The finest workers in stone are not copper and steel tools," wrote Henry David Thoreau, "but the gentle touches of air and water working at their leisure with a liberal allowance of time." Karst caves include passageways with rooms of mineral deposits in the form of stalactites and stalagmites, soda straws, and drapery-like ribbons, all built up by trickling calcite-bearing water. Patricia Hampel describes this water in Romantic Education as running steadily, timelessly, making its slow, hypnotic mark on the stone, on the ear, on the brain. Caves have their own ecosystems, and many animals and insects depend on them. Not just hibernating bears, but resident blind crayfish and endangered cavefish. Many caves harbor bats and indigenous beetles and salamanders. Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico shelters crystal formations in cathedral-like rooms. The stable temperature in caves near San Antonio preserves bat guano, once used to make gunpowder. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is the world's longest cave system with 350 miles of chambers and passages. To create a sense of sanctuary and mystery, I kept my materials simple: a regular black ink Bic pen, a few colored pencils, and just a very few areas where watercolor was used. I used the scrumming technique with the black pen, pressing down or releasing pressure on the tip to thicken or loosen the lines, which I scratched and spiraled in as I went. I took a short video of a raven defending one of those smaller cave openings high up, and I listened to his calling to warn me away. As I worked with the raven's alarm call, I began to sketch using the sense of sound. I applied shading with pencil to where the sound would have echoed off the face of the bluff, or where it might have been absorbed by shadow-filled walls of moss and fern. Layer upon layer, like the strata of limestone and dolomite stacked one atop another, I built up depth and thus mystery in the sketch. The process of developing this sketch started with the quote from Isaiah of the Old Testament, a great verse to use for when the season's changing reveals new things to me every day. I knew the sketch would serve as a meditation on the sanctity of caves, and I completed it more as a contemplative practice rather than a scientific record of what I found. But in the end, I did include a little note about the weather that day. Sketching as meditation is a beautiful way to spend a morning practice. This sketch only took 30 minutes from start to finish, and with geology as the anchor of its subject, it quickly became a study of deep time and creating sacred space, using a few simple materials, repetitive strokes like spirals and hatching lines, and washes of colored pencil and watercolor. Now I am revealing new things to you, things hidden and unknown to you, created just now, this very moment. Of these things you have heard nothing until now, so that you cannot say, "Oh yes, I knew this."